Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, colleagues. You know, normally when I come up here, I have prepared remarks, kind of jotted down some ideas that I've been thinking about, but I haven't done that today. And the reason why is because I'm going to try to speak to you from my heart, and I want to have a conversation. This is good. I appreciate how quiet it is, how we can understand the importance of what we're getting ready to do, folks. I think we all understand the budget is the biggest thing that we do and we are sitting here to do, in addition to being the voice for the 30-some-odd thousand back home who don't have a voice if we're not here. I want to applaud the Ways and Means Committee this year. It hadn't been easy. You know, I'm not on Ways and Means Committee, so I don't want to sit here and act like, you know, what they do should be discounted. While we don't agree, we can agree to be, we don't have to be disagreeable about it. But they worked very hard. And the Senate worked hard as well, and as we've heard, or some of us have heard, we've had staff come in on the state holiday yesterday and work late hours, and a lot of things going on in everybody's personal lives, Mr. Cooper and others, and we do respect the work that you do. But I respect y'all giving a few of us the attention today so we can at least share what's on our heart and what we're talking about. And so I'll speak to this amendment. And first of all, what I'll tell you, I've learned that the adjourned debate rule times out after an hour, so I don't know if we're going to get to that point. But I want to be fair, and I don't want to be a hypocrite, because I moved to adjourn debate on the First Amendment, Representative Cooper's amendment. And I would likewise like to adjourn debate on this, because I don't think anybody is going to have all the answers when they go back home on something that they just saw on a web link, etc. But likewise, over a Chick-fil-A biscuit and Cheetos this afternoon, I found out what the House and Senate and everybody compromised about, and I don't think that's enough time from 12 o'clock to now for me to make a decision. And whether you agree with accepting the stimulus or not, you owe it to the 30,000 people back home to at least glance at the bill. Now, I'm not asking you to read it line by line. I'm not saying I'm going to read it line by line, but I am going to spend some time and look at it and talk with some constituents who sit me here and get their opinion. Because I spoke to a group of women this afternoon after lunch before I came back in, and I told them I don't know what I'm more tired of hearing about. Am I more tired of hearing about this stimulus debate here in South Carolina, or am I more tired of hearing about this digital TV conversion thing that you see every night that's 60 days away, 40 days away, whatever? I'm really tired of it. And so I want us to move forward. Now, whether the viewpoint that I have wins, or whether the viewpoint that other people have wins, I want to move forward and do what's best for our state. And all of us want that. But what I want to remind you, something that you've heard from Representative Duncan and Representative Smith here earlier, we don't know if we're going to get to spend this money. We don't know if the governor ultimately controls it, if we control it, or how that works. At least I don't know. Maybe y'all know. But I tell you where I see where we're going. I see another lengthy court battle for our state. And I'm tired of it, guys. This has been one of the most, in my opinion, whether it's partisan or heck, it's internal parties sometimes, and House and Senate bickering, downstairs and upstairs. I'm tired of the bickering. I go home, I got a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old brother and sister. They bicker all the time. And I'm tired of us doing that here in the state of South Carolina. And let me tell you what I'm afraid of. Again, whether you are wanting the stimulus money or not, if we pass that stimulus money in here, I'm not a betting man, but I'm willing to tell you that we're going to be drawn out in a court battle. Because right now we've got some sides with lines in the sand. We've got the governor who wants it spent one way, and we got us who want it spent another. And I want us to come together. And in the numbers that I've looked at, and we all look at our own numbers and have our own opinion, but I agree with some of the comments made earlier today. I like the amendment that's presented. But I still want to have some time to look at it, and I feel I and we owe it to y'all to look at it just like y'all owe it to us. I'm not going to use Representative Duncan's exact words, so to speak, there, but let's take a time out, let's go home, let's sleep on it, and then let's come back and make a decision. Because otherwise you might be voting for our state to spend more money over a legal battle. And we know how legal battles can cost. Heck, we got a water battle going on with North Carolina and South Carolina. That's going to drag on for a while. One thing I don't want us to be concerned about, it is my understanding that whether we spend this money or not, it's not going anywhere else. It's my understanding that the governor has certified the funds. Now, I don't know if that means it's sitting in a piggy bank or where it's going, but it's designated for South Carolina. It's just a matter of us bickering over how we're going to spend it. And I think back to when, I guess, the Senate was doing their budget, and we had one of my school board members out in the lobby, and she had a lady with her, and I'll admit, she kind of looked like one of my school board members. They looked very similar, so we were talking. Didn't matter, but I thought it was my school board member. And she was just asking me my thoughts on the stimulus. And I told her, you know, personally, I'd rather not have it. I'm one of 8 that voted against it. She said I was out of my mind. And, you know, I've heard that several times. I don't know about y'all back home, and that's fine. But I said, well, let's have a conversation about it. You know, let's put our talking points aside. Because I know why you're here. She told me why she was here. She had seen the budget that the Senate Finance Committee had put together. And she showed me the numbers. And she said, Nathan, look, our base student cost is going to be $2,028 with what the Senate Finance Committee put together. Now, granted, I had no say-so in it at the time, but I, at least like you would, want to speak to somebody, whether they're one of the 30,000 of the people back home that can vote for me, or whether they're one of the 4 million people here in the state that I'm supposed to represent. So I won't let you know what district she's from, but the conversation went like this. She told me that figure. And I said, ma'am, where'd you get that figure from? She said she got an email, and I'm not going to get into all that. I don't mind people having free speech, trading emails, and talking about what's going on. But I said, are you talking about what we, as some of us, would refer to as the chaos budget? And she said, yeah, that's what I've heard it was called. And I said, well, look, I said, I've only been doing this 5 years, but I can tell you in politics, it sometimes, sadly, is about extreme positions. But the reality, we all know, lies in the middle. So while I'm not going to tell you it's no big deal if we don't take the stimulus, that'd be one extreme, I'm likewise not going to tell you everything's all fine and dandy if we do take the stimulus. But you were presented with that budget so you would get out, come up here, and have your voice heard. And hey, if that's what it took to get you up here, I'm glad. But now let me tell you about that number. Remember, we're talking about the base student cost that the Senate Finance Committee presented of $2,028. And I said, ma'am, I've got colleagues over there in the Senate who are putting together a budget that they couldn't even get heard in committee, and they're having to do it from the floor. And again, I don't agree with that. That didn't give us enough time to do it. But they're trying to put together a budget that would actually not take the stimulus, so somebody like me would be happy on that end, and would actually fund the base student cost for you at $2,228. $200 more than what she had in her hand that she was scared about. $200 more than what the Senate had proposed. So I said, ma'am, I'm telling you that I've got friends trying to present a budget over there that would fund base student cost at $200 more than what you got in your hand, and they're not taking the stimulus. What do you think about that? Mistakenly, I thought she'd be happy. She's getting $200 more. The students are getting $200 more than they had. You know what she said? Nathan, I don't care. We still need the stimulus. We had to agree to disagree. That was her talking point, and I understand that. We all have our talking points. She didn't want to hear about the reality of it. She was just heard, I want that money, we're paying for it, we need the stimulus. Keeping in mind, I just told her a plan, and we've got a plan presented here that would give her $200 more than she thought she was getting from the Senate Finance Committee. Didn't matter to her. Now, I share that because I want y'all to think about what we're getting ready to do. And I want to remind y'all, nobody knows what's going to happen with that money. Does the legislator get to dictate it? If we pass it and pass a law, does that mean it's so? No, it gets reviewed. Supreme Court has kicked out some of our things before, and I got a feeling this one's going to drag on. Regardless whether it's going to be a short fight that won't waste our state taxpayer dollars, or whether it's going to be a long, dragged-out fight that would cost, I don't know, thousands, hundreds of thousands. Who knows what a price tag is for a battle like that. But regardless, we need more time. And I don't think asking for one day to sleep on something before we vote is asking too much. And if we can get to the time, I think 5:15 is where it's going to clock out. If we can get to that time, I'm going to ask to adjourn debate on this. I like it. I want to vote for it. I want us to take it. But at the same time, I want to be fair to you, just like I want y'all to be fair to me. I'm not running for... I'll be happy to take any questions, Mr. Speaker, or I'll yield.
Mr. Cooper,